I've been wanting to ask you this question since I've been reading you in The Spectator for a long time. We are increasingly hearing the term consensus being used in place of evidence. Now, if something has a consensus, you're not allowed to produce a contradictory set of data or open a discussion that challenges the prevailing thought. Is this misuse of consensus a problem for the current scientific community?
It's a huge problem. It's at the bottom of the problem, actually, because what you actually have to encourage in science is dissidence. Now, we have this thing called the peer review system where everybody's work needs to go to peers before it can be published. There's nothing more guaranteed to form groupthink than a system where you have to give it to your mates to give it a tick. That's not the way Isaac Newton worked or Einstein. There was no such thing as peer review in those days. It's a relatively recent thing. So consensus is about, all the mates getting together and deciding what everybody's going to think, where real science is challenging everything that you believe, and that in order to fix the scientific system, which is now based on consensus, wrongly based on consensus, we actually have to spend money to kill the groupthink. And one of the things that I think we have to do is that the Australian Research Council should put aside 10% of its money to do replication studies to challenge work that's out there that hasn't really been checked properly and is probably very likely in many cases to be wrong. But you need to pay to get that anti-groupthink checking going on.
Yes, well, I didn't realise how new the peer review system was, but the actual concept of consensus is not new. The real story of science is a cycle of powerful religious or political bodies that then enforced a consensus with a very few individuals who were challenging it. And some of them were often laymen as well, not even people with lists of credentials. Yeah. But challenging it cost them a great deal personally. Are you perplexed that this so-called most progressive and enlightened society demonises scientific inquiry in favour of institutional power?
No, I don't think so. I'm not surprised at all about it. I mean, one of the things about today's world, this sort of networked world, is that the network is the one who succeeds. And people like Newton and Einstein, they were the antithesis of the networkers. They were loners, they were individuals, they thought for themselves. So it's almost inevitable that what has happened has happened. We should have been able to predict it. A clever person could have predicted in the 1960s what was going to happen. So no, I don't think we should be. But we need to institute systems to break that groupthink and stop the consensus builders dominating everything.
And I think the general public needs to stop idolising the idea of groupthink as being a virtue.